Great. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gateway to Grace. My name's Elizabeth Tobin, and I do these calls once a month where we look at family patterns that are influencing us in ways that we may not be aware. And we identify these patterns and change these patterns. And family patterns are they're very ingrained within us in terms of oftentimes we don't know that they're at play in our relationships and in our life. And yet when we identify them and change the patterns, we notice a significant improvement. And sometimes people feel relief when the patterns change. Sometimes they notice that people start to respond to them differently. Things that used to push their buttons don't bother them anymore, so they're responding to their loved ones differently. Things that they found challenging are flowing better for them. So there are all different ways that these family patterns can impact us in our life and in our relationship. And in this Gateway to Grace call, we look at those patterns each month. And so today I thought what we would start with is a little bit of orientation. And so orientation, you can think of it as a way to reset your inner compass so that you naturally move towards what supports you and you move away from things that drain you or don't support you, whether it's relationship interactions or whether it's food, could be other substances or activities that don't lead to and support your health and well-being. Hey, Dottie, thanks for joining us. Great to see you. So orientation, there are different aspects of being oriented. When we're oriented to ourself in time and in space, we can be grounded, 100% present. We are able to respond to situations rather than sort of react from our unconscious patterns. And so it gives us a wider option of choices when we're able to respond and make a choice on how we want to respond, rather than just sort of reacting in a knee-jerk way without being able to really sort of think about or feel into situations and make a conscious choice. So in terms of the orientation, I'm going to tap into the group energy field and just see what we need in terms of orientation today. And so I use muscle checking to tap into the group field. And by asking questions, we can get some answers. And sometimes the responses are surprising, that we uncover things, we uncover patterns that we may not know that we're resonating with. And yet, oftentimes when we bring these patterns to light, we get an aha moment. We get a flash of insight. Oh, I can feel that rings true for me. Oh, yes, I can see how that plays out in my life. And sometimes when we uncover these patterns, we think, well, what does that mean? That has nothing to do with me. And those are the ones that I think are the ones to really pay attention to, because usually it's those patterns that we don't connect with that come up in the session that hold some hidden insight for us. It might be a pattern that we resonate with ourselves, but we don't see it. But maybe we see it in the other people around us, that they exhibit that kind of behavior, or they treat us in a certain way that sort of encapsulates that pattern that we are identifying. And so when we're working with the group energy, we are identifying these patterns that are common to everybody in the group. And so this group is assembled today, and there's a larger group as well of people that will watch this video and who will take part in the session as they watch the video. Because people are going to be drawn to this session, whether it's live here on the call today or whether it's afterwards. They're drawn to the session because there's something in the session for them. And so if you're watching this on video, consider it your session. It is your session. You are here for a reason. There's something for you in this session that, that you can receive. And there's something perhaps in the session that you can contribute to as well. And that might be something to contemplate. That when I do a group repatterning, I think of it as it's an interaction. And so people that are drawn to the session, there's something for them to receive from the session, but also there's something that they contribute into the group field to identify the patterns and to shift the patterns. And I have a colleague who says the hologram anticipates you, meaning that even if the session was done a year ago, if you're drawn to go to the YouTube channel and look for a session and you find it and you do the session, that session still holds something for you because the hologram anticipates that at some point you'll access the repatterning. So let's see what we need from orientation today in order to start off with our session. And I love doing these sessions at the beginning of the month because I also think it's a great way to start off the month. So you might even think about, as we go through the session, how you can maybe live into the new possibilities that the session is going to reveal today. What might be some positive actions that you can do to help support you into keeping these patterns in your awareness so that the session is alive for you, not just today in this hour, but also as you move forward through your month. So let's take a pause. And taking a pause is a great way to orient yourself. If you're feeling hurried or if you're feeling confused or anxious, upset, sometimes just taking a pause, taking a couple of deep breaths can help you come back into your center. And then another thing that you can add to that is bringing your attention down into your feet can help you to really land in your body, to ground. So the orientation that we need today is something from orientation to self. It is. So the first part of orientation is to be oriented to yourself. And then from that place of orientation, you can sort of move into the world and orient to others, orient in time, orient in space. But it begins with ourselves. So what's needed here is something from A, B. So this is an action that's needed. This is a feeling. So it's an oriented feeling. So let's see what we need here. So the feeling that will help us today, and as we move through our month ahead, and there are 7 choices. So I'm just going to go down the list and ask the group energy which choice is best for us. We need something from number 1, number 2, number 3. And it's number 1, 2, 3. I feel capable and full of vital energy. And so imagine if you could wake up each day feeling capable and full of vital energy, and you were able to sustain that throughout the day. What would that mean for you over the next month? So say that. Say, I feel capable and full of vital energy. And if you can, say it out loud. And we're not resonating with that. And so just notice what that feels like as you said it. And then once we switch that pattern on, we'll say it again and you'll notice a difference. So I'm just going to check there's anything more from orientation that we need at this time. No. So it is best if we do something from a modality. Yeah, so we're going to make an input of energy into the group field, into our system to shift this pattern, to turn on the energy. And so you can think about this work as flicking switches. We're turning on the energy of the positive patterns, turning off the energy around the non-coherent or the negative patterns. And so what we need right now in order to effect that change, to switch the energy, we need something from this index, yes. And it's something from A, B, C, D, E. We need something from breath. And it's something from 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to do some breathing with a thymus tap. And my cousin had sent me a link to an article in the New York Times talking about how helpful breath work can be in reducing the effects of depression. And also in helping to bring relaxation. So let's see what we need. This breathing pattern here. So with this pattern, we're gonna do a breath, and I'll show you how to do it. And we're also gonna tap on the thymus gland, which is right here, sort of like right under the sternum, right under your collarbone. And you just sort of just kind of tap on it. And that helps to boost your immune system. It's associated with the heart chakra. It also energizes the 12 meridian channels from the Chinese 5-element acupuncture system. And so if we want vital health, it's essential to keep the thymus and our immune system in good shape. And that was our orientation statement, was being full of vital energy. So it's quite fitting that would be doing this thymus tap. So just sort of tapping there. Yeah. And just sort of breathe in and out. And what we're going to do is now we're going to breathe gently through our nose, using sort of shallow kind of breathing. And observe your solar plexus swelling slightly as you inhale and relaxing as you exhale. And now you breathe in and relax and breathe out. And you breathe all the way out, and then you hold your nose and hold the breath out for whatever amount of time is comfortable for you. And then when you inhale again, you just inhale with a nice natural breath. And if you're gasping on the inhale, then it means you've held the breath too long. And you can do that a few times. And so holding the breath out helps to balance the CO2. So when we think about breathing, I think most of us think of oxygen, but another essential part that regulates our system is the CO2, the carbon dioxide. And CO2 or carbon dioxide is needed for many significant biochemical processes in the body. It helps to carry the red blood cells in our blood, for example, so that oxygen gets released to all of our cells. So it helps to oxygenate the cells. It also regulates the flow of blood to the brain, which is interesting given our, I feel capable and full of vital energy, right? And it's also been used for curing asthma and emphysema, this control pause breath, holding the breath like that. So I know I feel more alert, more present, more lively. So let's see if there's anything else that we need. Oh, so let's go back and recheck this statement and just notice how it feels now. So say I feel capable and full of vital energy. Yeah, and we're resonating with that now. And did you notice anything different from when you said it the first time? Sarah's giving the thumbs up. Good, good, good. So let's take a pause again, and we'll see what we need to do next. So it's best now if we go to a repatterning, yes, and the repatterning that's needed is, let's see here. It's one of the family patterns, and it's number 1, number 2. Okay, let me get my supplies here. And so the repatterning that we need to look at now, it's something from number 1, 2, 3, 4. The health repatterning. Looks like we have a theme here emerging around health and vitality. Nice. The health repatterning. I'm just going to see, there's anything from the introduction that we need to hear. Yes. Something from here, here, here. There's something from here. Yeah. Okay. So this is talking about how we can only advance toward, so if you think of like health, well-being, joy, whatever positive feeling you want to feel as a spectrum, right? And so on one end of the spectrum, the non-coherent end might be anger, fear, sadness. And then in the middle, maybe there's neutrality. And then at the other end of the spectrum, there's love, courage, joy. And so we can only advance towards the desired end of the spectrum as much as we allow ourselves to advance in the opposite way. So in other ways to say it would be, if you want to feel sort of joy, you also have to allow yourself to feel your grief or your sadness or your anger. So if I want to feel courage, I have to acknowledge and accept my fear. If I want to be strong, I have to accept my weakness. If I acknowledge only 30% of my anger, then I'll only be able to access 30% of my love. So we have to access the full spectrum. And I think this ties into what a lot of people talk about nowadays in terms of bypass, spiritual bypass or emotional bypass, where people sort of don't want to acknowledge the uncomfortable emotions. They want to focus on the positive, which is commendable, but you can't do that at the expense of ignoring what is. I mean, if you're feeling sad, if you try to talk yourself out of it or deny it, the sadness may still be held in your body, and that may come out as illness. But if you allow yourself to experience the sadness, feel the sadness, then you grow in capacity within your body to hold the energy of sadness, and it doesn't turn into illness. And it also becomes more and more comfortable, and you have more energy to access your joy as well. So I'm just going to see, there's something from here. So there's an example here that I'm going to read to you. So for example, a new mother who has just given birth to her first child and wants to feel immense maternal love. However, she's tired and frustrated and should really like to love and enjoy her baby, but the love, she doesn't feel like it's flowing. So what's happening? When she allows herself to experience what's happening to her, she realizes she's very angry. Well, how is that possible? Well, she may be furious because of all the changes in her life. Her hormones are out of balance. She might feel out of shape, ugly, fat. Her relationship with her partner may have changed. Most certainly probably has changed, introducing a newborn into the picture. She hardly gets any sleep. She has no time for herself. And so by allowing herself to acknowledge her feelings and to feel the anger and acknowledge what's happening, she'll be able to feel great love and tenderness for her baby later on when she moves through the initial sort of disorientation of being a new mother. So the maternal love that she wanted to feel can only appear when she recognizes her anger. So if we want to experience the positive pole within ourselves, we also have to be willing to experience the opposite of that. And so there's also a distinction between sort of feeling your emotions and acting out your emotions. That's two very different things. So we can acknowledge our emotions and feel them, but we don't necessarily have to act them out. So some people believe that in order to allow themselves to feel their emotions, they have to express them as they are. And then acting out is what happens. And so if a person is very angry due to a bad day, they might, get into an argument with somebody, right? They're acting out that anger, which is not necessarily optimal or not necessarily appropriate, right? We can feel our emotions, acknowledge them, take responsibility for them, but we don't have to sort of spew them onto our family members, our partner, our co-workers, the people around us. So we can contain ourselves as well. So containing ourselves doesn't mean we're denying what we're feeling. It just means that we understand that there's an appropriate response, and acting out our bad feelings on the people around us may not be appropriate. So let's see what we need here. There's something more we need to identify. Yeah, okay, something from here. So there's another example about how this, this idea of being able to access, acknowledge, feel our emotions can help us. And the example is, there was a young man who had a terrible case of diarrhea for weeks, and the doctors couldn't find the cause. And then when he had a repatterning session and he did the health repatterning, he realized that there was an excluded member in his family, that one of his sisters had an unborn child that they didn't acknowledge. And he had no nephews or nieces. But then he finally remembered that he had taken sick a few days after his sister had had a miscarriage. And so the family, it was a painful event, and the family didn't really deal with the sadness and the grief around it, and sort of moved on as if nothing had happened. But the healing for this man was that by giving this child its place in the family, by acknowledging, yes, we had a loss. There was a life that was coming into this family, and now there isn't. that child has a place in this family, even though the child was not born. That allowed him to access his grief and his anger and the other emotions that go with a sudden loss. And so he realized that understanding this sadness was a surprise for him because it didn't seem logical. Because how could this affect him and his own body, right? But we're all so connected, especially in the family system. And so he had drowned his pain from the loss of the baby and hadn't recognized how much it had affected him. And now it was manifesting as diarrhea. And so by giving this unborn nephew a place in his heart, then his symptoms began to disappear. And eventually he recovered his health. And so he gave this excluded family member, this little unborn baby, a place in the family, acknowledged. And then his symptoms ceased to exist. And this is how family patterns function. And so that's why I say they can be complex, they can be convoluted, and they don't make logical sense oftentimes. And yet, once we identify and transform them, things start to shift in our lives. Things start to improve. So let's see what we need here. So is there anybody who's experiencing any kind of symptom or illness? It could be, yeah, Roxy?
Yeah, so I for years I had congestion up in my nose. It was like a drip.
Mhm.
But then my mother, she got pancreatic cancer back in last year. And I've had like 4 months and she's already transitioned of like this serious congestion. You know, I've been meditating, I've done vortex healing on it, you know, all kinds of stuff. And it's like it does keeps hanging around. And then my friend Amelia said, she sent me a video about it, who's an RN, and she said it basically the video said it's like your immune system's on high alert and the congestion is a way to clean it out. So I'm thinking, well, isn't there a way to build your immune system without having to have all this extra stuff?
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
like, wow. I mean, I'm talking blowing the nose, coughing and sneezing and stuff all day long. It's nuts. I was up last night for like 30 minutes, just hacking and coughing and all this. And this has been going on for over 4 months. I'm not kidding.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So,
Sure.
sneezing, congestion. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any symptoms, illness or symptoms? Yeah, Lori.
Hi, I just wrote good morning, good afternoon. So I've been having really a lot of problems with my digestion, my bowels, prolonged, and I don't know if it has to do with the medication I'm on. I've been trying to work with my doctors. I feel kind of frustrated with them. And at the same time, I have some physical issues, so I have someone that comes in to help me out and kind of, be a companion kind of thing. So I had a woman that I really loved. She was here for like a year and a half, and she came several times a week, and we just hit it off. Like we became friends, and we laughed a lot, we shared a lot, and then she left a couple months ago. She got a better job, and it was really upsetting because it was kind of like, oh, I will call you, we'll do things. And I said, just don't say that. I know you got too much going on. And she says, no, 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 I am. And then I didn't hear from her. I tried to contact her and, I didn't. She finally wrote that she was going to call and she didn't, but at least I had contact. But it was a real trigger, for me. It was really like these deep abandonment issues going on. And I had a new person come, and she's nice and helpful, but her energy was intense, and there was a lot of, I had to be really assertive with her, and she kind of overstepped my boundaries. She was kind of pushy. And so, but then I was working on like smoothing it out and getting used to her and trying to be grateful. And so that was good. I was stretching myself. And then today, someone else came to fill in. She says, oh, Tanya's not coming anymore. Just like that. Just like that. So in any case, my health, it's just weird. I mean, it's not anything.
Okay.
I'd like to. Anyway, I'm just putting it out there. That's all.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me share. That's all. Thanks.
Good. Yeah. So Len says digestive problems. Oh no, sorry. ME and CFS for years. Okay, so Len's got some
That's chronic fatigue.
chronic fatigue. Great, thank you. Okay. Good.
Knee problems.
Knee problems. Okay.
I couldn't barely walk since June, July.
Okay. Wow.
I have some words to
One
share.
step in a bit.
Hold on here. Knee problems. Okay. Okay, one more. Yeah,
I can share.
Yep.
Okay, so what came up for me when you were saying all that is that I have this deep anger with my family that's causing me not to have a relationship with another human being. And so feeling 100% of all of that, I have never let myself really do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's stopping me from fully having a loving relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Good. Good. So we have got, it's interesting. We all have our own unique experience, and yet the underlying patterns, what we'll find out, are the same. So let's see what we need here. I'm just going to mute you, Shelby. Yeah. Thank you. Good. So what we need is something from here. So this is the repressed emotion that that sort of indicates the symptom, the repressed emotion that's associated here with the symptoms. And I'm just going to check. It's something from 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's anger. So let's see here. Just gonna give myself a little more room. So I'm just writing it down here. And it's number 1, 2, 3. It's 4, 5. Okay. So the pattern is my illness or symptom. So you can fill in the blank there with your own. So Roxy, for example, my congestion indicates the sadness that is in my shadow. So let's see what we need here. So that's resonating.
Could you repeat that? I want to write that down.
Yep. So my illness or symptoms, so, fill in the blank with your symptoms, indicates the sadness. Oh, I'm sorry. It's sadness. Okay, it's not anger, it's sadness. Sorry, indicates the sadness that is in my shadow. So there's sadness there. I'm just going to check. We also need to work with the anger right now. No, okay. So that might be for another day. So today we're focusing on the sadness. Yeah, so just take a pause. So then what we need is something from here. I'm aware of the sadness I feel. I accept it. Let it flow and transform my symptom or illness into love for myself. So I am aware of the sadness I feel. I accept it. I let it flow and transform my symptoms into love for myself. Yeah. Something from here. Just going to see what else we need to look at. Something from here. Just going to see. Something from here. Here, 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 here. H, I, J, K. Something from here. L, M, N. Okay. So now the question is, if this symptom or illness had a higher purpose or a life lesson or some kind of greater learning for you to help you, what would it be? Penny says more self-love.
For me, it would be to disengage from unnurturing or really negative influences in my life instead of staying and allowing harmful, negative influences.
Yeah.
For me, it would be teaching others to do the same.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Good. Good. Yeah. So let's see, there's something more we need to look at here. No. There's something here. Yeah. So it's something from 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 6, 7, 8. Ah, I am open to love and joy. Yeah. So that's the coherent pattern needed in order to move into the higher learning that your illness or symptom might offer. So in order to help you to disengage from negative influences, Sarah, being open to love and joy would help with that. Or Henny, in order to feel more self-love, being open to love and joy would help with that. And I'm going to check here. We also need to look at the excluded family member. We don't. Okay. So oftentimes, if we had more time in the session, we might look into, well, who might be an excluded family member in your family system that that needs to be given a place. But we don't need to do that right now. Because sometimes we might suffer from an illness or a symptom in a similar way, or we might use that illness or symptom as an unconscious way to give an excluded family member their place in the family. Kind of like that man did with his digestion and his diarrhea, given that was how he kept the memory of his unborn nephew alive. And then once that was identified for him and he could honor the memory of his nephew, he didn't have to suffer from the symptoms. So there's a modality that we need. Yes. So let's see what the modality is that we need in order to shift this. So it's something from A, B, C, D, E, F. So we need to fuse in an archetypal symbol. So fusing in the symbol of an archetype. And what's needed here is something from 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ah, we're fusing in the archetype of the child. Interesting. And so all humans share a common history during our evolution. And these experiences of our history have been stored in the memory of humanity as patterns that are helpful in understanding reality. And so these patterns are stored in the collective unconscious. And Carl Jung introduced these patterns as archetypes. And so the symbols of these archetypes hold information, feelings, thoughts, characteristics. It represents certain lessons. And they can, and when a part of us is stored in our unconscious, we don't know it's there and we can't access it. And so, but when we fuse a symbol for the archetype, we're accepting this unknown part as belonging to us, sort of reclaiming a part of us that we don't know maybe is missing. And then it can move into our consciousness. It moves out of our shadow into our consciousness, and we become more complete. And now these parts of us that were previously unknown can become resources that we can draw on and use for our benefit and also to help others. Kind of like what Shelby was saying, you know, to teach others to do the same. So we're going to work with the symbol, the archetype of the child. And the child symbolizes being fearless, enjoying life, friendships, and love, finding joy in pleasure derived from simple things. The child is vital, joyful, and playful. And so there's that, that word, vital, vitality, sort of where we started with our orientation. I am capable and full of vital energy. So what I'd like you to do is close your eyes. And allow or create an image or a symbol that represents the child. It could be a person, could be a landscape, a shape, a light, whatever comes to mind is fine. And now you're going to say to that symbol of the child archetype, you say, now I see you. And I acknowledge what you are and what you represent. The child, being fearless, enjoying life. And so this has more power when you actually say these words yourself to the symbol. Now I see you. And I acknowledge what you are and what you represent. The child. Being fearless. Enjoying life. Enjoying friendship and love. You find joy and pleasure derived from simple things. You are vital, joyful, and playful. I now choose to take everything that you give me. I am nourished by you. And I do something good with this. I give you a place in my heart. And I honor you. And now bow your head. And this reverence represents honoring and accepting the child with everything that it is and everything it gives you. And now do the open heart posture where your palms are out, facing outward, open. And breathe in and fuse in the child into your body. Wherever it feels most comfortable for you. And by doing this, you have all of its resources. And you can use them for the greatest good. And this is complete. And when you're ready, you can bring your attention back into the here and now. Good. So let's see what we need here. We'll go back and recheck the statements. So say, my illness or symptoms indicate the sadness that is in my shadow.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah. My illness or symptoms indicate the sadness that is in my shadow. Yeah. And that's not resonating anymore. That's off. And say, I'm aware of the sadness I feel. I accept it. Let it flow. And transform my symptoms into love for myself. Yeah, and we're resonating with that. Right. and say, I am open to love and joy. Yeah, and that's resonating. Yeah, we're on for that. Good. And now just check in with your body and notice how you feel. Good. And would anybody like to share?
Can I share?
Yeah, Shelby?
So, there's a photograph of me sitting on my dad's lap when I was 3, and that me came in to hug me, and I know a 3-year-old would never feel all that stuff, so it was really profound to have that 2 or 3-year-old just hug me and just help me feel the sadness is really and still is a trip.
Good, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And Roxy, did you want to share? Oh, you're still muted.
I was just gonna say, I did feel a shift. I still feel like there's still something else, though.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
You had put in the chat that you still felt sad.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's normal. You lost your mother. And and that's what this repatterning is about, is acknowledging that sadness and allowing yourself to feel it to the depth that you need to.
yeah.
And we can feel sad and we can be open to love and joy at the same time.
Well, that sounds like a trick.
I'm
I
not,
think I can do one. I can do the other, but not at the same time. Because when I'm feeling sad, I really don't feel the other one so much. But that's gonna be interesting to see I can do both at the same time.
well, I said you can be open
Okay.
to love and joy.
All right. Okay. That's the trick. Open.
Right.
Got it.
And also, you could think about this as opening to love and joy by allowing yourself to feel the spectrum and the depth of your emotions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, no, I've been feeling very blocked. I'm an artist, at least I used to be. I haven't been able to. I had an upset around it with a teacher, and I just shut down. And I don't know, just hearing you. It's also my mother's 18th anniversary of her passing, so it's interesting. It's about mothers today. So anyway, when we were doing the visualization, I was thinking about being that little girl running around the yard, and that I did have joy. I did have joy. There were a lot of hard things that happened in my family, but I had a lot of, happiness and joy as a child. And then I thought, what symbol could it be? And I thought of finger painting. Although I don't remember doing the finger. If I did it at home, I'm sure my mother wouldn't have let me do it, but I'm sure I did it. And because it's just total freedom, you get a mess, you don't care what you're doing, you're just expressing and having fun. And I really like that image of letting go. And I do think there's just been, you know, like you said, you can't always put into words. You know, I made a big move last year, and I went through a lot before the move and after the move, and the COVID has left me very sad and contracted. And so it was really, I think feeling sad and just letting oneself without trying to figure it out, that I won't be excluded, because I have been excluded actually from my family. I've been, but yeah, like there was something in my family, like, don't express your sadness, don't express these negative feelings. It was like against the law, the rules, and you still feel that way sometimes in society. So long story short, I just felt something kind of release. And so thank you.
Good.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'd like to get in touch with that little girl again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Len.
Yeah, I feel a lot lighter and clearer and at peace. I had 3 photographs of me as a very small boy, you know, like even less than 2 years old, come in, and I felt so much love for that little guy. And I just felt like a lot of things that I don't even know about just kind of just dissolved. So I'm in this kind of an open space right now. So thank you for that. I very much appreciate that. And I also was wondering if those things that we affirmed that cleared could be put in the chat. I don't know if you're able to do that or not.
I won't be able to do that because we're going to be running out of time, but I'll send out the link and you can go through and get them off the recording.
Very good. Very
Great.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, Sarah.
Yeah, the whole session today felt very apropos for me. I have been struggling with feeling lack of playfulness or lack of, just so noticing the void of that childlike wonder in my life, like which used to be so, it felt so part of me. And even to the point of that's the kind of work I was doing in the world, was helping others to play, like through dance and movement and such. And it's just been, the sadness has been so profound that I felt no ability to offer myself, which is also sad. But, you know, maybe that's identifying with me, identifying with just, it's okay for that part of me. And, you know, I'm also acknowledging, like, I've lost my son, Rowan, at age 19, and he was the one who showed me so much how to engage with our playful nature and our childlike wonder and all of that. So yeah, I feel like I have grieved so much, but obviously there's more. There's more and there's more and there's more. And a big message for me in this session was to fully give myself permission to nourish myself in the ways I need to, and to not engage in places or people where I don't feel a safety to be myself. So I have, like the other lady that was just speaking, I have felt extremely isolated through this COVID. Like I lost most of my work. And so the isolation has been big. But as I say, the work that I was doing, I don't feel I can do right now. So there's a lot of grief, a lot of loss. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And, you know, grief is, it's a complex process that we go through. And I don't know that it, like you could say, oh, it's over. I think we revisit it. It comes in cycles, it comes in waves. So yeah, thank you. Yeah. Dottie says she feels like she integrated that little girl that lost into her heart and solar plexus. That's great. Good. Yeah. And Masha, you had said you want to, would you like to share?
Yeah, I think I've been in a shadow transformation process, and it's about this messages, and as a young child, about it's not safe to be joyful and playful and fearless and just to be, so this is really very helpful to bring it forward in the processing. Yeah, it's an ongoing sort of sense of rejection from my family, or what did I write? Excluded from the family. And that's been coming up during this process, images of times of that, and just recently something else just happened. So it's deep, but this session has allowed me to access that sadness so that I can now work with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming and participating and sharing, for bringing your love and your joy and your sadness and your anger and the depth of who you are into this session. I do work with people one-on-one, and I also work in small groups of like 4 to 6 people. So if you feel like you'd like more information about that, you can reach out to me. We can have a conversation and see what might work for you, how I might help you. And it's interesting that the child came up, because last night I was playing with, I think she was like 5 years old. We were blowing bubbles, and we were blowing soap bubbles and shooting them with a squirt gun. And it was so much fun. And it just felt, very nice to connect with the child, but also to allow my inner child. And so I would just leave you with, remember the child aspect, remember this archetype, and invite ways to engage with her, whether it's through finger painting or blowing soap bubbles, or even just hugging that little boy or that little girl in your mind or in your heart. So I would say the positive action for this month, explore ways to engage with that child aspect. And I'll see you next month.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Very much.
Bye-bye.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Just quickly, Liz, when will the YouTube link be up?
I hope to get it up this week. I'll send out an email. Yeah, I send out an email with the link, so you should get it there.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Thanks, everybody. And for people who are watching the recording, I just want to mention, you can get on my mailing list. Go to my website at liztobin.com if you'd like to join us live. So thank you. Let me stop the video.